Welcome to Greymarsh Games YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about what board games that inspired me to do my own creation called Sky Empire. So let's dive into it. I think it will come to no surprise that I was very inspired by Twilight Imperium 4th edition when I set out to create my own game Sky Empire. I've spent hundreds of hours playing Twilight Imperium 4th edition and I enjoyed very much every single time. Twilight Imperium 4th edition has supplied me with the grandest and biggest and most epic game experiences that I have ever had. When I created Sky Empire, I tried to mirror the things I really enjoyed about Twilight Imperium 4th edition. This slow build towards the end where you're building your empire and your fleet up, that's just epic, and you're waiting for the final battle that will determine who will win the game. I tried to mirror that in my own game with some small adjustments. I was very inspired by Twilight Imperium 4th edition when I created the skeleton of my own game Sky Empire. One thing I really love about TI4 is the way these small tactic tokens work. In Twilight Imperium you will gain these throughout the game, but mostly from the beginning of each game round. When you gain them, you can use them to place them on the map to take actions. And you sort of activate that tile and make that the center of the actions you take. You can also place these tokens in either your fleet pool to increase your fleet size or in the strategy pool to allow you to take secondary actions on the strategy cards. I tried to mirror this in Sky Empire, where you will gain initiative tokens that you can also place on the map to activate a tile. But in Sky Empire you do not have a fleet pool and a strategy pool. I removed that because I often find that players would be frustrated by forgetting in the status phase to place tokens in the strategy pool to allow them to take a secondary action that they have built up a strategy around for 8 hours straight. So in Sky Empire it's more streamlined and you will only use the tokens to activate different tiles on the board. In TI4 you will pick these strategy cards each round, and the strategy cards allows you to do certain actions. I sort of used this system as well in Sky Empire, but I made it into my own thing. So in Sky Empire the strategy cards are now called council cards and are placed on a council board and will not be taken by players on their hand, but they will place doublers on the board, and the cards will shift each game round depending on how often they were chosen the round before. So in Sky Empire you will choose actions on a council card, and there will be a primary and a secondary actions that you can take. Only one doubler may stand on the primary part, and the cards the further up the track, if they were not picked much last round, will grant extra bonuses. So this is sort of streamlined and you can easily look at the council board to see who has chosen what. Another part I really like about TI4 is the different player powers and different character abilities. I mirrored that as well in Sky Empire, where you will play as different doublers and you will have different bonuses whether you place your doubler on the game map or whether you choose to put them in the council. Also, each doubler will have a unique way to obtain the green crystal. One thing I did not bring into Sky Empire is the grand scheme of kingslaying and kingmaking that is possible in TI4. I must admit I loved the game mechanic of kingmaking and kingslaying, but I often found that my fellow players would find it very frustrating after playing maybe 10 or 12 hours to have their victory snatched out their hands and handed to someone else by a kingmaking move. Also, the agenda phase in TI4, which is, all in all, if we are honest to ourselves, a big fat catch-up mechanic, is something that I chose not to bring into Sky Empire in any aspect. So players will not vote or have the same political powers as they have in TI4, and this will make the game somewhat more streamlined. So in Sky Empire you will have an easier game flow, because you can plan ahead. You just have to gather 4 different crystals in 4 different ways. So you can plan ahead much better than you are able to do in TI4, because the objectives are largely known from the start, whereas in TI4 you will sometimes get a completely different strategy that you wanted to, because the first 2-point public objective might call for you to gather 10 trade resources. So in TI4 you cannot always plan that much ahead, but you can do that in Sky Empire, whether you like that part or not. So technologies is also somewhat different in Sky Empire. In Sky Empire they're called developments, and they will fit nicely into the dual layered player board here, and they will be much easier to understand and easier to overlook, so you know exactly what abilities you will have added. Whereas in TI4 I often find my technologies somewhat put off to the side, and I forget what I have, and I often sometimes forget to use the technologies that I have, which is much frustrating to me. So Sky Empire has a somewhat different economy going on, because you are collecting different minerals and gases from the planet of Dophius, and you use those minerals to build your airships and different buildings, and you'll have a lot more buildings to choose from than you have in TI4, so buildings play a larger part of the game itself as well. So combat in Sky Empire is also quite different. Whereas in TI4 you'll often battle against other players with the same units, and you will roll this 10-sided dice here, and it will feel a bit swingy, and also your armies might feel a bit similar. In Sky Empire all airships are different and have different abilities, but when you roll the dice in Sky Empire you will always make at least one hit, and you will roll some searches that you can use for different abilities that your unique airships in that battle has. So this was some of the similarities and differences between Twilight Imperium, my favorite board game of all time, and the game I created myself, Sky Empire. I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about the similarities and differences between those two games, as I am very inspired by TI4 and I find it to be the most perfect game ever made. From the epic game of Descent Journeys in the Dark 2nd edition, a game that is nothing like Sky Empire, I pulled the idea of the combat dice rolling searches. When you roll a search in Descent, you might be able to use it on different equipment and different character abilities that will grant you extra things that you can do in combat, for example heal or do extra damage. In Sky Empire you will also roll dice, and many of them will have this search icon. Some of them will even have a double search icon, and those icons can be used in combat when you participate with different ships and building. Each building and ship will have a different search ability here at the bottom that will allow you to do different stuff when you attack each other. For example, this airship here called Eclipse will do 2 extra hits when you spend a search ability on it. In the magnificent game of Scythe you will encounter different things during the game, and you will draw an encounter card every time you do that. An encounter card will show you some artwork and 3 things that you can choose from. I shamelessly stole this idea for the exploration system in Sky Empire, where when you draw an exploration card you will be able to choose from 2 different things, both of them good but might fit differently into your strategy. If you brought a Doppler to the map tile that you are exploring, you'll gain a little extra something, a little cherry on the top. Also from Scythe, I was inspired by the Wind Gambit, which these grand airships was the first thing that inspired me to think about a game with a lot of airships in it with different abilities. And from the game Merchant and Marauders I brought the hated or loved mechanism, depending on who you are, of event cards. In Merchant and Marauders you will draw an event, and it will often tell you something about the weather and whether or not to spawn or move any NPCs that are on the map. I mirrored this in Sky Empire, where each game round you will draw an event card that is split into 3 parts. The first part being a weather effect that might affect how you move and behave on the game map. Also a council effect that may allow you to rearrange or gain different bonuses from the council card, and lastly a sentinel effect that will either spawn or move the NPCs, the evil sentinels in the game. So I have probably been inspired by a lot more games in my collection and a lot more games that I have played during my life, but these are the ones that really stand out when I designed Sky Empire, so I tried to boil those down and make my very own game that hopefully will have a very unique feel and feel different than those games you see in front of me. I hope that you will participate in being the judge of that and try out Sky Empire as soon as it comes out. It will be ready on GameFound in not that many months. I hope that you will check it out. Link is below, and thank you for watching.